Hey everyone, welcome. Today we are diving into two really powerful tools for your professional communication toolbox, gerunds and infinitives. Honestly, getting these right will make your documentation, your reports, and your instructions so much clearer and more professional. So let's get right into it.
You know, in coding or system design, one tiny error can cause huge problems, right? Well, it's pretty much the same with language. Using the wrong grammar form can completely change the meaning of an instruction or a plan. So the big question is, how do we bring that same level of precision to how we communicate?
Okay, our first tool is the gerund. The best way to think about it is as a way to take an action, a verb, and kind of package it up so it acts like a noun. This is perfect for when you need to talk about an action as a whole concept, a process, or an activity.
So what is a gerund really? It's just the ing form of a verb that's doing the job of a noun. Look at this sentence. Testing is essential. The word testing here isn't about what someone is doing this very second. It's the name of the activity itself. It's the subject of the sentence.
And what's so cool about this tool is how flexible it is. A gerund can be the subject that kicks off your sentence, like, monitoring is important. It can be the object of another verb answering the question what. The team discussed what? They discussed upgrading. And it can even follow a preposition, like in the phrase interested in learning. Now, this right here is one of the most solid rules in English grammar, so listen up. If a verb follows a preposition, it absolutely must be in its gerund form. You would never ever say, he is good at to solve problems. No way. It's always good at solving. And you'll see this pattern everywhere. Think worried about losing data or insisted on reviewing the logs. And just like certain tools only fit certain bolts, some verbs are always followed by a gerund. Verbs like enjoy, avoid, discuss, and suggest, they all demand that ing form after them. These are just fixed patterns, so the best way to get them down is to get familiar with the list. I mean, notice how we discussed to add a feature just sounds off. It has to be discussed adding. All right, let's switch gears and grab our second tool. If gerunds are for naming actions as concepts, then infinitives are the perfect tool for talking about purpose, intention, or future plans. The infinitive is usually super easy to spot. It's to plus the basic form of a verb. Just think of it as pointing forward toward a goal or an intention. In our example here, we plan to upgrade. The infinitive tells us the whole purpose of the plan. And you guessed it, just like with gerunds, some verbs are naturally followed by infinitives. These are usually verbs about thinking and deciding about the future. Plan, decide, agree, hope, promise. They're all setting up an expectation for an action that's going to happen next. And this is one of the most useful patterns you'll ever use in a tech workplace, especially for giving instructions. The structure is simple: verb plus object plus infinitive. You tell someone to do something, ask someone to do something, or require someone to do something. It's direct, it's clear, and it's absolutely essential for managers and team leads. Okay, so we've got our two different toolkits, but what happens when a verb can use either tool? This is where true precision really comes into play, because sometimes your choice of a gerund or an infinitive completely changes the meaning of your sentence. Let's just look at this comparison for a second. Remember, to do something is all about a future task, a responsibility. But remember, doing something is about a memory you have from the past. It's the same with try. Try to do means you're putting in a serious effort, while try doing is more like you're running an experiment, just testing something out to see what happens. Here is a perfect tech example. Remember to save is an instruction. It's a future action you must not forget. But I remember saving is a statement about something you did in the past, a memory. One is a command, the other is a recollection. You can see how using the wrong one could cause a major problem. To help you keep all this straight, here's a handy little reference table. You know, this is actually a great slide to screenshot for later. On the left, you've got verbs that are typically followed by gerunds, and on the right, verbs that usually take infinitives. It's not the complete list, of course, but it covers a ton of the common ones you'll use day to day. So now we have the tools and we know the rules. Let's talk about the payoff. How can we actually use these structures to build the kind of clear, professional sentences you'd find in really high-quality documentation or a formal report? So you can start a sentence with a gerund. Testing software carefully is important. And that's grammatically correct. It's totally fine for a conversation. But in more formal writing, we can often make it sound a little more polished. You could also start with an infinitive. To test software carefully is important. Again, this is correct, but It can sound a little stiff, maybe a bit too academic. It's just not something you hear or see very often in modern technical English.
And here it is. This is the most common and natural-sounding structure for formal and technical writing, the it plus infinitive pattern. It is important to test. It is necessary to document. This structure is clean, it's professional, and it puts the focus right where it belongs, on the main point.
So let's bring it all home. Why does any of this matter for your job? Well, because you use these structures all the time. You use infinitives to state your plans. You use them to report decisions. You use gerunds to give simple instructions like, hey, try restarting the service. And you use that professional, it is important to structure for writing clear, top-notch documentation. So here's the most important takeaway. Gerunds and infinitives aren't just some boring grammar rules you have to memorize. They are precision tools. And when you use them correctly, you build communication that is just as clear, just as logical, and just as effective as the code you write or the systems you design.
The foundation for everything we talked about today comes from the English for Technology curriculum, which is specifically designed to give tech professionals just like you the exact language tools you need to succeed. Thanks so much for watching.